Soldier Field. Soldier Field is a historic stadium in Chicago, Illinois, that was built in 1924 and reconstructed in 2003. It has been home to the Chicago Bears since 1971 and Chicago Fire FC since 1998. With a football capacity of 62,500, it is the smallest stadium in the NFL and the oldest in the EMS. In 2002, the stadium underwent a major renovation, modernizing but reducing seating capacity. In 2006, it was delisted as a National Historic Landmark. Soldier Field has hosted several sports teams, including the Chicago Cardinals and University of Notre Dame football. It has also hosted the 1994 FIFA World Cup, 1999 FIFA Women's World Cup, and multiple CONCACAF Gold Cup championships. In 1968, it hosted the inaugural World Games of the Special Olympics. Other historic events include rallies with speeches by Amelia Earhart, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Martin Luther King Jr. History. The Chicago Bears Stadium, designed by Hollibird and Roche in 1919, was built in 1922 and cost $13 million to construct. It was officially dedicated as Grant Park Stadium on October 9, 1924, and later changed to Soldier Field in 1925 in honor of U.S. soldiers who died in World War I. The stadium's design is neoclassical, with Doric columns rising above the east and west entrances. In its earliest configuration, Soldier Field could seat 74,280 spectators and was in the shape of a U. Additional seating could be added along the interior field, upper promenades, and on the large open field and terrace beyond the north end zone, bringing the seating capacity to over 100,000. The Chicago Bears moved into Soldier Field full-time in 1971. Initially with a 3-year commitment. The team had previously played select charity games at Wrigley Field, but were forced to move due to post-NFL merger policies requiring stadium capacities to seat at least 50,000 spectators. In 1978, the Bears and the Chicago Park District agreed to a 20-year lease and renovation of the stadium, which was later designated a National Historic Landmark in 1987. In 1989, a proposal for a McDome was rejected by the Illinois legislature, leading to discussions about a new stadium. The Bears president Michael McCaskey considered relocation as a possible factor for a new stadium, but the plan was rejected by the Lake County Council. In 1998, then Chicago Mayor Richard M. Daley proposed that the Bears share Comiskey Park with the Chicago White Sox. Renovations began in 1978. Replacing plank seating with individual seats, adding a press box and skyboxes, and reducing seating capacity to 55,701 by building a grandstand in the open end of the U-shape. In 2001, the Chicago Park District announced plans to alter the Soldier Field Stadium with a design by Benjamin T. Wood and Carlos Zapata of Wood Plus Zapata in Boston. The stadium grounds were reconfigured by local architecture firm Lohan Associate, led by architect Dirk Lohan, grandson of Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. The stadium's interior would be demolished and reconstructed while the exterior would be preserved in an example of facadism. On January 19, 2002, the night of the Bears' playoff loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, demolition began as tailgate fires burned in trash cans in the parking lots. The first step in building the new Soldier Field was the removal of 24,000 stadium seats in 36 hours by Archer Seating Clearinghouse. A speed record never exceeded since. The total funding for the renovation cost $632 million, with taxpayers responsible for $432 million and the Chicago Bears and the NFL contributing $200 million. Several writers and columnists attacked the Soldier Field renovation project as an aesthetic, political, and financial nightmare. The project received mixed reviews within the architecture community, with criticism from civic and preservation groups. The New York Times named the renovated Soldier Field one of the 5 best new buildings of 2003. In 2004, a 10-member federal advisory committee unanimously recommended that Soldier Field be delisted as a National Historic Landmark. Carol Algren, an architectural historian at the National Park Service's Midwest Regional Office in Omaha, Nebraska, stated that if this stand, it would have lowered the standard of National Historic Landmarks throughout the country. The stadium lost the landmark designation on February 17, 2006. Transportation services. The closest Chicago L station to Soldier Field is the Roosevelt Station, serving the orange, green, and red lines. The Chicago Transit Authority (CTA) also runs the number 128 Soldier Field Express bus route, providing transportation to the stadium from Ogilvie Transportation Center and Union Station. Additionally, there are two nearby Metra stations. The Museum Campus 11th Street Station on the Metra Electric Line, which also services South Shore Line trains, and the 18th Street Station, served only by the Metra Electric Line. Pace offers express routes from Schaumburg, Lombard, Bolingbrook, Burr Ridge, Palos Heights, and Oak Lawn, giving access to Soldier Field from the northwest, west, and southwest suburbs. Events. The Soldier Field Stadium in Chicago, Illinois, was the site of the first football game in 1924 between Louisville Male High School and Austin Community Academy High School. The 1926 Army-Navy game, which saw over 100,000 spectators, was the national championship game. The stadium also hosted the all-time collegiate attendance record of 123,000 plus in 1927. In 2016, 150,000 plus attended a game between the Virginia Tech Hokies and Tennessee Volunteers at Bristol Speedway. The 1937 Chicago Prep Bowl, which was won by Austin, was another contender for the highest attendance ever. The stadium hosted 41 college all-star games, an exhibition between the previous year's NFL champion and a team of collegiate all-star players. The last game in 1976 was halted due to a torrential thunderstorm. The University of Notre Dame has hosted 2 games at Soldier Field as part of their Shamrock Series. The stadium has hosted several NFL playoffs, including the 1985 NFC Divisional Playoff, 1986 NFC Championship Game, 1988 NFC Championship Game, 1990 NFC Wild Card, 2001 NFC Divisional Playoff, 2005 NFC Divisional Playoff, 2006 NFC Championship Game, 2010 NFC Wild Card, and 2018 NFC Wild Card. The stadium's history and popularity are significant in American football. Soldier Field is a stadium in DeKalb, Illinois, that has been home to various sports teams since the 1920s. The Huskies play select games at the stadium, with the University of Iowa hosting them in the first Division I college football game in 2007. The stadium has also hosted various motorsport events, including NASCAR races and truck and tractor sled pull competitions. In 2013, the stadium hosted a high school hockey game between St. Rita High School and Fenwick High School. In 2014, the Chicago Blackhawks played against the Pittsburgh Penguins as part of the NHL Stadium Series, defeating them 5-1. In 2015, the Hockey City Classic was held at Soldier Field, featuring matches between Miami University and Western Michigan and the Big Ten's Michigan and Michigan State. Soldier Field has hosted several single events, such as the 1928 National Challenge Cup between soccer teams Bricklayers and Masons FC of Chicago and New York Nationals of New York City. Other notable events include Liverpool vs Olympiacos in the 2014 International Champions Cup, Manchester United vs Paris Saint-Germain in the 2015 International Champions Cup, Bayern Munich vs Milan in the 2016 International Champions Cup, the 2017 MS All-Star Game, Manchester City vs Borussia Dortmund in the 2018 International Champions Cup, and the 2019 CONCACAF Gold Cup Final, where Mexico defeated the United States 1-0. Overall, Soldier Field serves as a significant venue for various sports, including college football, motorsports, and other events. Soldier Field has a rich history, hosting various events such as the 1968 Special Olympics, the 2014 Rugby Union Test match between the United States Eagles and New Zealand All Blacks, and the 2016 End-of-Year Rugby Union Internationals. The stadium also hosted the 28th International Eucharistic Congress, the Long Count Fight, a war show celebrating George Washington's birth, the opening ceremonies of the Century of Progress World's Fair, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's appearance at Soldier Field, and the first visit of Douglas MacArthur to the United States in 14 years. In 1964, the Chicago Freedom Movement held a rally with over 75,000 attendees, and in 1966, 60,000 people attended a second rally led by Martin Luther King Jr. The stadium was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1984, and its National Historic Landmark status was removed in 2006. In 2012, President Barack Obama held the 2012 Chicago Summit, a summit of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization (NATO), at McCormick Place and Soldier Field. When the field and nearby Shedd Aquarium had to close due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Soldier Field became the exercise grounds for the aquarium's penguins. The stadium's rich history and significance make it a significant place for sports, culture, and history. Facility contracts. The pouring rights for non-alcoholic beverages at Soldier Field were held by the Coca-Cola Company from at least 1992 until 2012. In 2012, the Bears signed a contract with Dr. Pepper Snapple Group, later Keurig Dr. Pepper, making Soldier Field the only NFL stadium at the time with such an agreement, until Cleveland Browns Stadium made a similar deal in 2018. Following the stadium's renovation in 2003, the Bears gained control over sponsorship deals. Miller Brewing Company secured the pouring rights for alcoholic beverages, and Delaware North Sports Service was named the food and beverage service provider. In 2013, Aramark took over service operations when the Delaware North contract expired. In mainstream media, in the Marvel Comics event Siege, Soldier Field is destroyed by Thor's friend Volstagg, who is tricked into fighting the UFOs. The heroes rebuild the stadium after Steve Rogers is appointed head of U.S. security. The 1977 documentary film Powers of 10 features a picnic on the east side of Soldier Field. The 2006 Clint Eastwood-directed movie Flags of Our Fathers reenacts the Iwo Jima flag raising for a patriotic rally. The opening match of the 1994 World Cup at Soldier Field was covered in the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary. Soldier Field is featured in David Weber's anthology collection Changer of Worlds, where it appears to have gone through multiple renovations and rebuilds. In Chicago Fire's fourth season, Soldier Field is featured on calls for a terrorist hoax high-angle rescue and a medal ceremony for firefighter Randy McColland. In the book and TV series, Daisy Jones and the Six, the eponymous group plays their final concert at Soldier Field on July 11, 1977. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the history and significance of Soldier Field. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Sports Spectrum for more content on iconic stadiums, sports profiles, and everything in between. Hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new videos. See you in the next one.